Have you ever agreed to something and later wondered, wait, why did I say yes to that? Or trusted someone almost instantly, even though you barely knew them? It happens more often than you think. Every day, people use small psychological tricks in conversations. Most of the time, they're not even aware of it. It's just how human behavior works. But once you start noticing these tricks, you'll see them everywhere. Let's look at 8 psychological tricks people use without realizing it. 1. The foot in the door effect. Picture this. A coworker walks up and says, "Hey, can you help me with something really quick?" It sounds small. No big deal. So you say yes. A few minutes later, they ask, "Actually, could you also help me move these boxes?" Now the request is much bigger. But something strange happens. Your brain already said yes once. And humans naturally dislike feeling inconsistent. So saying no the second time suddenly feels awkward. That's called the foot in the door effect. Small requests make people more likely to agree to bigger ones later. And most people use it without even thinking about it. 2. Mirroring. Have you ever had a conversation that just felt easy? You're both smiling, leaning forward, talking at the same rhythm. That's not always a coincidence. Humans naturally copy each other's body language. If one person crosses their arms, the other might do it too. If someone laughs, the other person laughs. It happens automatically. Your brain reads this as a signal that says, this person is similar to me. And when someone feels similar to us, we tend to trust them more. 3. The silence trick. Now here's a subtle one, but it's incredibly powerful. Someone asks you a question. You give a short answer. Then something interesting happens. They stay quiet. They look at you and say nothing. That silence starts to feel uncomfortable. Your brain begins thinking, maybe I should explain more. So you keep talking. And before you realize it, you've shared way more than you planned. Humans naturally want to fill silence in conversations. And that simple pause can reveal a lot. 4. The name effect. There's one word your brain reacts to immediately. Your name. If someone asks, "What do you think about this?" you might answer casually. But if they say, "David, what do you think about this?" everything changes. Your attention sharpens. You focus more. That's because hearing your own name activates a part of the brain connected to identity. It makes you feel recognized, seen, even valued. That's why great communicators use people's names often. It's a tiny detail with a surprisingly strong psychological impact. 5. The scarcity effect. Imagine you're shopping online. You see a message that says, "Only 3 left in stock." Suddenly, the item feels more important. You start thinking, what if it sells out? That reaction comes from something called the scarcity effect. When something feels limited, our brain assumes it must be valuable. It triggers a small fear of missing out, and that pressure pushes people to decide faster. You'll see this everywhere, even in conversations. When someone says, "I don't usually tell people this," your brain instantly becomes curious, because now the information feels rare. 6. The compliment bias. Here's another interesting one. When someone compliments you, your brain releases a small amount of dopamine. That's the same chemical connected to pleasure and reward. So naturally you feel good, but something else happens too. Your brain links that good feeling to the person giving the compliment, even if the compliment is simple or a little exaggerated. This is why people who give genuine praise often seem more likable, more friendly, and more trustworthy. It's not manipulation. It's simply how the brain responds to positive feedback. 7. The anchoring effect. Let's try a quick example. Imagine someone asks, "Do you think a phone should cost $2,000? Your first reaction is probably, "That's expensive." Then they say, "Well, this one costs $800. Suddenly, $800 doesn't sound quite as bad. Why? Because your brain compares it to the first number you heard. That first number becomes the anchor, and everything else is judged relative to it. This trick is used everywhere. Pricing, negotiations, even everyday discussions. 8. The familiarity effect. Now, here's one of the most powerful psychological effects, and it's incredibly simple. The more you see something, the more you tend to like it. Psychologists call this the mere exposure effect. A song you hear repeatedly starts sounding better. A face you see often starts feeling trustworthy. Your brain interprets familiarity as safety. So sometimes we trust people, not because we know them well, but simply because they feel familiar. The fascinating thing is this. Most people aren't intentionally using these tricks. They're simply natural patterns of human psychology. But once you start recognizing them, you begin to see conversations differently. You notice the small signals, the subtle influences, and suddenly you realize something interesting. Human behavior isn't random. It follows patterns. And understanding those patterns can completely change how you see the world around you. If you enjoy learning about psychology and hidden mind tricks, consider subscribing for more videos like this.